Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to all the supporters of the podcast, and I must make a quick announcement. The Patreon account is going to be on pause for now. I appreciate everybody past and present that supported, but the Patreon account has to be on pause for the moment. But there are other ways for you to contribute, donate, support this podcast and its production, because that's really where the money goes into. For example, it costs money to use these streaming apps to record the podcast, right? It costs money to keep the equipment up, to get newer equipment, to, whether it's better cameras or lighting or whatever it may be. So I've used those funds and that support for people who listen to this podcast and watch this podcast in the past. And obviously, for things to grow, for there to be more, for it to be more than a one-man show, that kind of support is definitely appreciated and needed for this podcast. So one of the things we're doing, and probably the main thing we're doing, instead of Patreon, is just basic CashApp. So whether you want to do a one-time donation to the podcast, maybe you want to pop in every now and again and donate, you can hit me up on a CashApp at $Vegas World Inc. 77. I probably will put an image on the screen real quick. Hold up, I just realized my background is completely different. This is the wrong background. There we go. But I'll probably put an image with that on the video version, QR code or something like that, where people can scan and donate. So there you have it. But also, just as important, big shout out to all the people who have now joined Hip Hop Now Podcast via YouTube. Again, at one point we were trying to reach 500. We hit the 500. Thank you. Now we're closing in on 700. So we're trying to get to 1,000. 1,000 opens up more opportunities within the YouTube landscape, right? 500 help us get within the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? 1,000 to help us a little bit more. And again, what's so easy but difficult about this process is the simple fact that there are a whole bunch of hip hop heads who look for content just like this, who won't be exposed to it, honestly, if I don't have a certain amount of hours recorded as far as shows, that's no problem whatsoever. But more importantly, a certain level of engagement from you. That meaning subscribing, liking, comments, sharing posts, stuff like that. So the more you get into this show, the more you should make sure other people are exposed to it so that we can grow the base, and therefore it'll become like night and day. Because to be honest, this podcast was established specifically to not do the same things that all the other podcasts do. That's why you really never see interviews, even though there's an interview coming up very soon with the author of High and Rising. It's the book about De La Soul that will be dropping in November. I'm in the process of booking that interview. I'll have it ready to go either the week the book drops or after. So stay tuned for that. Let's get right into it. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com, allhiphop.com, and Brochure for Heads, and a couple of places where I'm getting some of these stories from. Let's get right to business, though. So earlier in the week, or maybe last weekend, something like that, but Lil Wayne had his Lil Weezyana festival, right? It was really like a celebration of Lil Wayne, and it was the first time in a very long time you saw the Hot Boys on stage, right? BG, uh, obviously Wayne, you know what I'm saying? Turk is my guy. Turk, Manny Fresh was there, Juvenile, obviously Birdman performing their hits. Lil Wayne performed as well. He was given the key to the city in New Orleans. All of that good stuff, you know, and he even gave a speech about the Super Bowl, saying it was taken from him or snatched away, some a term to that effect. So here are my thoughts on what I heard and saw. I think Lil Wayne should definitely be celebrated in more than just New Orleans, right? He is a legend in the game. When you look at his history, the music, the features, the mixtapes, the bars, the transitions and styles, when he started, the albums, the series, the Carter series, like he is certified to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame without a doubt, right? Seeing the Hot Boys on stage is a beautiful thing, man. I have a playlist I made years ago before there were streaming services and they would make playlists for you, or you can make playlists. I made it based off the music I had, just celebrating the Hot Boys. And every time I play that joint, I'm like, wow. And this is no Carter stuff, right? Just the early Cash Money days. And I just be like, wow, man, Cash Money had a serious run back then. Like it's all hits, literally all hits on this joint. And seeing the reunion was dope to see, because it's like, why with the Hot Boys, I mean, we know why a lot of people were locked up and stuff like that, but you know, we kind of got robbed from having the Hot Boys pop in the way Wu-Tang does, right? Like if Ghost was the one who was mainly popping at the time, that didn't mean you weren't going to hear Meth. That didn't mean you weren't going to hear from Jizzo and Inspector Deck, right? And I feel like with the Carter series and Lil Wayne's career, at some point it was just him. And you know, and again, BG was locked up and there was situations, but it was just sad that we couldn't get, you know, maybe BG's on Carter 2, and unless he is, and I don't and I don't remember. But you know what I mean, just a legacy. So it was great to see them. The Key to the City, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. The Key to the City felt so much like a consolation prize for not getting the Super Bowl and all the things him and his comrades had to say about the Super Bowl being in New Orleans and the city, and you know, feeling snubbed by the city in some ways. Because why didn't he have a key to the city anyway already? Like he been so successful that he could have got a key. Birdman could have got a key. Like they had, I think Master P has a key. I don't know. But you would think that would have already happened at some point. Apparently it didn't, and it happened here. Also, Master P said like February 6th or 8th, something like that, would be you know, officially in New Orleans Lil Wayne Day, which is cool. But again, could have did that a long time ago. You didn't have to wait to try to make the statement about how he should be the performer in the Super Bowl this year. For those who don't know, the performer in the Super Bowl will be Kendrick Lamar. And there was a whole thing that happened with that as far as really the Cash Money, Young Money side. Drake didn't say anything, and he wasn't there. Meanwhile, he was at the Raptors game trying to mean mug people, and no one was afraid. Literally no one. But the speech that Lil Wayne gave regarding the Super Bowl halftime performance being snatched away, or whatever he said, taken from him, which wasn't the terminology he used initially. Initially, when he put out that sappy video looking sad, and I'm just going to be quite frank with y'all, looking like a junkie every time I see him. Let's just be real. It is what it is. We would like him to not be a junkie. We would like him to get off of that stuff, but he's clearly been struggling for years, and it shows. He looks older than the people who are older than him. And I kind of feel like when I saw that original video, Lil Wayne was saying mainly like he almost set himself up to feel bad about not getting it because he was so convinced he was going to get it. And he kept saying, I work my ass off, I work my ass off. And I'm like, are you just talking about your whole career? Because, of course, yes, you did. But if you're talking about recently, well, all you got to do is watch some of the performance, and it's pretty terrible. And I'm talking about Lil Wayne's performance. I watched WrestleMania this year. I was like, oh, Lil Wayne performing? Finally, somebody who I don't feel like I have to go and wash clothes until the next match starts. So I was waiting for Lil Wayne to come out. And when he came out, it was a shorter than expected set. And I think it was that way because he was completely terrible. And who knows, he might have been high and they might have been like, yo, dog, give your shout outs and get the hell off the stage. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but that performance was terrible. And from what I saw, I didn't watch the whole thing, but from what I saw from the little Weezyana festival, he was pretty terrible. I could not have imagined that at the Super Bowl with the world watching. That would have been an embarrassment for him. That would have been bad. For somebody who clearly spent a lot of time doing drugs, that might have sent him to a place, right? To get that moment, and you know what's going to happen. Social media is going to roast him. You know what I'm saying? They were already roasting him for this because they were looking like that's who was supposed to perform at the. So I said all that to say this. I think he need to get off of it, right? You got a new album on the way. You got the hometown hero. Look out. The battery's in your back. Go forward. Super Bowl can happen anywhere because guess what? Every Super Bowl halftime performer is not performing in their hometown. The majority of the time, they are not. Like literally, the majority of the time, they are not performing in their hometown. So let's just stop with that there because every time we have moved on, here they come, bringing it up, snatched away from me. The dog, get over it. You're okay. You have so many more accolades. You would love to do the Super Bowl. It's been to New Orleans a couple of times, and it was not y'all. And I don't think you should feel like it should be y'all now just because you just want to point at Jay-Z. If you take Jay-Z out of the equation, he wasn't saying nothing before, don't say it now. Okay? Now, it would be dope one year. And maybe it's when it does come back to New Orleans to have Cash Money and No Limit just tear it down. I would love that. But Lil Wayne got to get himself together because I've seen him perform in the past and it was way better. And he's not that old to not do the things he used to do. All he did was walk fast across the stage, like I'm saying. And he was doing that. Then he sound bad. So I don't know. What did you think about Lil Wayne's performance at the Lil Weezyana festival? Am I off base, with his feelings about it? Should he move on at this point because it's not going to change? We'll see. Do you feel like Kendrick should invite him? I don't know. I feel like they've been very unprofessional. I'm petty like that, but maybe Kendrick isn't. So we'll see. So recently, AbSoul dropped a brand new project, AbSoul of TDE. When Kendrick left, it wasn't like, oh, well, there's no one else there. No, there's plenty other people there. You just probably don't know them. But AbSoul is one of the supreme spitters, original spitters from TDE. If you don't know who I'm talking about, if you watched Kendrick's pop out concert when he did 616 in LA, dude came out with the shades on and Kendrick was just spitting while he was sitting there with him. Like, vibing, that's AbSoul. AbSoul is dumb nice. He's put out a bunch of projects, like I think not last year, but maybe the year before. He had the joint called Herbert. He has a decent to solid catalog, but I believe he's one of the most overlooked MCs in TDE. So he released a new album this year called Soul Burger, dedicated to a friend who passed away. The album itself is about 15 songs. I think one of them is a skit, to be honest. No, actually, it's a song. 15 songs, clocking in around 54 minutes in length, which is as far as I'm willing to go when it comes to albums today. A couple of the features on this album include Jason Martin, Vince Staples, Doshi, who else on it? Ty Dolla $ign, Jid or JID, whatever, Lupe Fiasco, and a couple of other people. No Kendrick, if you wondering. Y'all know how it goes when I review albums. 3 listens. I gave it a good 3 listens. First is impressions. Second is to really dig deep into the lyrics, the beats, the concepts, how it all comes together. And my third listen is to confirm my thoughts. And my thoughts, really quick, it's a good album. Is it top 5 of the year? I don't think so. Is it good enough to be best of the year? I could see it making a couple of people's best of the years, but I will have to say I was a little underwhelmed. And this is coming from a person who's listened to multiple projects from the dudes, and I have my favorites. But I was a little underwhelmed because I guess I expected a little bit more from it. It felt initially like this was going to have a concept or a theme, and it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't also at the same time. It's like one of those things where, you know, this is dedicated to a homie, and you hear the skits, you hear the mentions, but they're not woven within every track in some way to complete a theme of this album, right? It's just kind of like that's the overall theme, but I'm gonna have my spit record, I'm gonna have my talk to the late, or my bars record for those who don't know, my song for the ladies, like, you know, my neighborhood joints, a couple storytellers. So when it comes to artistry, yes, it is one of the best of this year, because most of the TD artists are not thin layered when it comes to the subject matter and the things they like to talk about. And AbSoul has a lot of I don't want to say demons, but you know what I mean. Like, he has a lot of personal issues that he was able to articulate on numerous songs, and I felt like, you know, that was dope. But similar to the Rhapsody thing, it's a very complicated situation. Rhapsody's album is very good, but it doesn't keep my attention. And it's tough to say that when someone makes such a personal album. And I feel like with AbSoul, I hear him when he says certain things, and I'm locked in. And then there are other times the overall tone of the album feels almost somber, even when the beats are upbeat. And I don't think I liked how it was making me feel. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Like, maybe it's a situational thing, right? I was listening in the gym, maybe listening in the gym where I'm lifting weights and trying to get pumped up is one thing for an album like Busta or somebody else. And not to say that I haven't listened to introspective albums in the gym, but sometimes the music isn't hitting enough to keep my attention. Like, I have to remember, oh, you're supposed to be listening to what he's saying instead of it becoming background music. So I know that sounds really negative, but again, I think if you're an AbSoul fan, I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. I'm not disappointed. But I think if you had an expectation of something crazy, because I feel like with him, it's almost as if he has to impress as if it's the first time every time, just because he's one of the lesser known within TDE. He doesn't need to give anybody a reason to feel meh on his music, right? Because then they might not come back. So I'm curious to see how others feel about it. But I know for me, giving it the 3 listens, it's one of those albums where I'm probably gravitating towards certain songs, but I'm not in love with the album as a whole. So those are my thoughts. Have you heard AbSoul's brand new album, Soul Burger? Leave your comments in the comment section below. On YouTube, I'll read them and I'll comment or like it or whatever you say. Just don't say nothing crazy, okay? Just don't say nothing crazy. And lastly, so it is this season, man. The Grammy nominations are now officially here. I think Beyonce has the most nominations probably of all time as a result of these nominations coming out. I feel like, I know we're going to talk about hip hop, but I just got to say this. I kind of feel like that's more of a consolation prize because the Country Music Awards did not acknowledge her at all, and she put out a country album. So it's more like, well, you won't acknowledge her, but we will. So there's that. But on the hip hop side, and Andre 3 Stacks and the Flute album has been nominated. Not in hip hop. I don't know. I haven't looked yet. I hope not. But he does have a Grammy nom, which is insane to think about. Here's some information, though. This is on hiphopdx.com. The Recording Academy unveiled the eagerly anticipated nominations on Friday, November 8th, ahead of the 67th annual award ceremony, which takes place on February 2nd at Los Angeles Crypto.com Arena. Beyonce leads all artists with 11 nominations thanks to her chart-topping Cowboy Carter album, material from which appears in multiple categories across different genres. That's crazy within itself. As expected, Kendrick Lamar, who also makes a big splash thanks to his dominant diss song against Drake with Not Like Us, receiving 5 nominations, wow, including the Covenant Song of the Year and Record of the Year category. I told y'all. He walking away with either both or one of them, because I get the feeling, you know, there's Shabuzi and then there's the $1 Million Baby joint that are like tough competition for Not Like Us. Not Like Us is getting one of those awards. It has to. It's not even about the diss record. It's about the reaction to the diss record. The fact that it stayed on the chart for so long, right? Along with Euphoria, but also it was a social media windstorm, and like there's every version. People made video games. Like there's no way it doesn't win one of the Record of the Year, Song of the Year, which I'm kind of like, what's the difference? But whatever. Even though Song of the Year may lean more towards the lyrics, which is crazy because of what he's talking about. We'll see. But let's get into, wow, Hip Hop DX. I gotta chill with the ads. I get it, it's how you pay bills, but I can barely scroll. Like literally, I can barely scroll. All right, so let's go through the nominations. I'm gonna make predictions for each category like we do every year. And then also I am not gonna watch the award ceremony. Unless Kendrick is gonna perform Not Like Us. I gotta see that. I'm sorry. But I might not watch it. These joints are too long nowadays. I always catch the highlights in the morning. No harm, no foul. Best rap album. Wow. J. Cole might delete later. I guess he didn't delete it. Common and Pete Rock, The Auditorium Volume 1. Shout out to Pete Rock. Congratulations. Doshi. Wow. Alligator Bites Never Heal. Eminem, The Death of Slim Shady. Kind of thought that would happen. And Future and Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You. Man, I love those 2 albums. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't hate Drake. I just love the approach to like outside the battle, like Future and Metro Boomin and what they were doing with it. I think that's what I like about it. Out of that best rap category, who should win? Who should win is Pete. You talk about bringing hip hop back. That would be it. Who will win? It might be Future and Metro Boomin. I think so. Maybe. Best rap song. Rhapsody featuring Hit Boy, Asteroids. That song was dope. Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign featuring Rich the Kid and Playboy Cardi, Carnival. Future and Metro Boomin featuring Kendrick Lamar, Like That. Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, and Glorilla, Yeah, Glow. Who will win best rap song? Not Like Us has to win. It's better than Like That. It literally is. Who might win? Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. It's better than, I just said that, right? Okay. That's who should win. If this whole battle didn't even go down like that, and Not Like Us wasn't in this category, I think Glorilla winning would be dope. Because I don't have her album, but I really like her songs. And I think it's because I like her personality. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she just says what she feels and that's it. It's not like, let me say the rhetoric thing. Like, she's really, there's some level of thoughts. No, she's not a bar king, but a lot of people like that song. So I think if Not Like Us wasn't in this category, Glorilla would win. Best rap performance, Cardi B, Enough. Common and Pete Rock featuring Pasta Noose, When the Sun Shines Again, Doshi, Nissan Ultima, Eminem, Houdini, Future, Metro Boomin featuring Kendrick Lamar, Like That, Glorilla, Yeah, Glow, Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. Go ahead and give it to Kendrick also, or Not Like Us. That's what I think. Who should get it? But who will get it? I think maybe Like That would take this category, to be honest. Best melodic rap performance. Wait, so this is just sing-songy people on here. Okay, I guess so. I don't even know this person's name. Jordan Tucci featuring Kalani. Name of the song is Kalani. Beyonce featuring Linda Martell and Shabuzi. Spaghetti. Future and Metro Boomin featuring The Weeknd. We Still Don't Trust You. Lotto, Big Mama. Man, I hate that song. And Rhapsody featuring Erykah Badu, 3 a.m. Rhapsody is a mainstay in the Grammys. Good looking out, people who, whatever. Who should win? We Still Don't Trust You. Yo, I love that song, man. I'm sorry. Future and Metro Boomin featuring The Weeknd. I love that song. Who will probably win is probably Beyonce. I'm sorry. She probably will win. Album of the year. This overall. Andre 3000, the Blue Sun Album of the Year nomination. Incredible. Beyonce, he ain't going. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter, Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet, Charlie, whoever this person's name is, with Brat, Jacob Collier with what is this? The Jesse, just Volume 4, whatever. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. Wow, that's the name of her to pause. Chapel, it's just a whole bunch of people. Ain't no hip hop in there. Let's get on out of there. Song of the year. Let's see. Song of the year, obviously Kendrick's in there. Nothing else hip hop. Record of the year, Kendrick Not Like Us is in there. Nothing else hip hop. Well, let's look real quick because of what I said earlier. Shabuzi's here with the bar song. Wow, $1 Million Baby's not here. Beyonce's here with Texas Hold'em. So this might come down, Song of the Year might come down to Kendrick and Shabuzi, unless they give it to Beyonce. Record of the Year, the Beatles are in here, which is nuts. Beyonce, Texas Hold'em is here again. Kendrick Lamar is here again. No $1 Million Baby. Man, I thought that song was popular. I guess I was wrong. Best New Artist. think Doechii should win that. I think she's dope. R&B, R&B, R&B. And I think that's mostly it for hip hop. There are a lot of other categories up here where hip hop kind of falls in there in some ways. Beyonce's all over this list, like they mentioned, literally all over here. Best alternative jazz album. Wow, I'm not even gonna read that. I think Keon Harrold should win that. I think that's it for hip hop. Yeah, feels like it. Like hip hop artists are sprinkled here and there. It's crazy that a diss record has 5 nominations. A diss record about one of the biggest artists in the industry today, even now, still, and how that was celebrated. The Shabuzi Joy, that song, I don't like that song. Like, I don't think it's good at all. Like, I appreciate it being a brother, and I appreciate his success, but I don't think it's a good song. I think it's a very catchy song, because it borrows from a familiar hip hop record. But $1 Million Baby, I'm shocked. That song was really good. I really like it. Felt like, put it this way, y'all. Some of us be outside during the summer. You know what I'm saying? I like to go to the beach. We ain't do a bunch of crazy stuff. We did some things, but I felt like between Not Like Us and $1 Million Baby on the radio, in cars, you know what I'm saying, on social media, like I had to learn about Shabuzi, right? Obviously, it's not in my lane anyway, so that's why I wouldn't see a friend talking about it and blah blah blah. But those other two, I just knew it, and obviously Beyonce. So I don't know, man. The Grammys are the Grammys. Do you think they got the album of the year category right? I think in some ways, um, this got to go to Common and Pete Rock, man. I hope so. Like I think Future and Metro Boomin might get it just because of the commercial success. But what the buzz and what Common and Pete Rock were able to establish with something that was a pure boom bap celebration of hip hop, coming together between a producer and a pause, a producer, a legendary producer, and a legendary hip hop artist to make something that sounds fresh and new but pays homage to hip hop, was so dope. And there was so much hype around that album on social media, and so many people talking about it. It's going to be in a lot of people's top fives of the year for sure. But I just kind of I think that whole battle, it handled a good portion of this year, like from what, April, May through to maybe September. You know, we finally was starting to shed some of that, from that battle. And it didn't matter whether it was Future and Metro Boomin making their albums, Kendrick with his 5-pack or 4-pack of disc records for Drake. I am surprised that the J. Cole, now might delete later, it's not a bad project. That was just a bad disc record that he put on there that he eventually took off, which was the 7-minute drill. I don't think he should win album of the year at all, because the Common and Pete Rock were better for a lot of other reasons, but they're very different. But I feel like his battle and his apology silenced that project in a lot of ways. People stopped listening to it. Not everybody, but people stopped listening to it and people stopped talking about it. So for it to win album of the year, based off the merits that is good, it's cool, but I could think of some other albums that were just as good and just as deserving. So, and no surprise, on kind of maybe a surprise a little bit, at least maybe singles and stuff. LL and Q-Tip, no nominations. None that I could see on the hip hop side. So there you have it. The Grammys is not a measuring stick on whether music is good or not is just a little bit of everything. But I'm just glad that now they include more hip hop that most people are saying are the best of the year. The Doshi joint is extremely surprising because it's literally like a mixtape for her. But it's a dope album. And a lot of people have been rocking with it. A lot of people like her, but I don't think she's going to win. So there you have it. What do you think about the hip hop nominations? Do you watch the Grammys? Do you feel like there are albums that were missing? There are songs that are missing? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Also, know on this very channel, we have a series that I do with the homie Tony from Into the Dome podcast, and it's called That Time in Hip Hop. It's all about nostalgia and history and preservation of hip hop music and culture. We have like 70 plus episodes, but recently we did an episode on That Time in Hip Hop when J. Cole dropped his third album and probably his best album and probably his only classic, 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That's right here on the channel. It'll be linked at the end. You can check that out. It's very dope. Follow me on social media at Vegas World INC. Subscribe to the podcast. Like, comment, all that stuff. But most importantly, share it with people you know would enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.